All right. We're here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I got Mr. Lights Out himself, my guy Shawne. Hey, thanks for letting us come to your beautiful residency and giving us the time today, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming.
Fired up. I think let's just dive in. We were kind of chopping up before the pod about, everything, really. But
Everything.
I wanted to see, my mind's on the youth right now. You see guys like Greg Olson and Luke coaching youth football and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you think that, my opinion, we still need Oklahoma drills in this world?
Yeah.
We still need King in the Cage and whatnot. What is your take on that? And then what was your favorite hitting drill in your tenure?
Oh, I mean, it was always Oklahoma.
Has to be. Right?
Always. We call it bull in the ring, too. Did y'all do bull in the ring?
Yeah. Bull in the ring.
But, I think there's a time and place for it. Like, I think Oklahoma drills, when the time is necessary, is good because you gotta find out who's not scared of contact and collision.
A basketball team needs players, too.
Yeah. You get what I'm saying? And and you've probably seen it before where you have guys come trying out for football, go out and have one of those Oklahoma drills. Next thing you know, they're taking their shit off.
They don't want the smoke.
They're going back to whatever sport, whether
Which
it's
is
track.
okay, but you need that.
Listen, nothing wrong. Look, football and Oklahoma drills have made so many scientists and engineers out here in this fucking world,
Yeah.
and I think it's needed. Now, I think there's limitations to that because some of these coaches, especially youth coaches, are kind of getting off to these kids banging each other up, during practice and these hard hits so you can have social media moments and this that.
Yeah, don't take advantage of it.
So don't take advantage of it, but you have to find out because those guys are going to get put in the fire. Right. And you need to find out who is willing to go to battle, who's not afraid of contact, who's not afraid of these big collisions. So those drills are always going to be needed.
I even want to say, like, the contrast to that, too, where, I remember my first Oklahoma drill. My dad, we went to Big Five Sporting Goods. He got shoulder pads, got a helmet, and he's like, tackle me, okay? Tackle me. And me, I'm probably 80 pounds at this point, going into 8th grade, and small motherfucker.
Right.
But he's like jogging in their backyard, and he's like, fucking tackle me.
Right.
And once you get used to kind of like, okay, hey, maybe I'm an undersized guy, but at the same time, like tackling, as you know, like Cooper DeJean's going to stick Derrick Henry constantly because he's a good tackler, right? You get the leverage, get underneath their ass. Like, you can't be going up high if you're a smaller dude. And I think just that backyard drill with my dad made me, my first day of Oklahoma, is realize, like, you can't run to him. You got to run through him.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think Oklahoma's great for, yes, weeding out, the guys who want to go play basketball, but also giving you that confidence of, like, hey, I could fucking do this shit, too.
Yeah, and look, tackling is more of a want to. Everybody can tackle if they wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a mentality thing.
Yeah.
We was talking about my son before we got on, and my son is playing. He's a quarterback at DePaul Catholic. Finished up he's in the middle of their freshman year, and because I played linebacker, because of what I'm known for.
Right.
Initially, everybody thought he'll play DN or linebacker, and I was like, no, he didn't have that mentality. That's just not him.
Okay.
That's not even that. Look, I could talk as much shit as I want to and play around with. He ain't tackling nobody, but he's an outstanding quarterback. He's one of the top rated in the country in his class, 2029. But the mentality, I don't think is there. Now he would if he had to.
Right, if he had to.
But me, I didn't give a shit about the football. I wanted to hit people.
Right.
I didn't care about nothing else. I wanted to hit people. That's all I cared about. But that was my mentality of playing football. And everybody can do it, but it just takes the mentality to say, I'm gonna go hit somebody in the fucking mouth today. And if you don't have the mentality, you're not gonna do it.
Well, it goes along with the triggers we were talking about, where you just say, like, hey man, like, I gotta go run through this wall right now.
Right.
It's my job. I'm L3 on kickoff. They're gonna come at me. I need to hold my lane. Like this. Maybe I'm gonna get fucked up, but I'm going to run full speed, and my guy is not gonna make the tackle off this. And that's just the way it's going to be. And that's part of the want to do shit. And I do think, it is a specific breed. Like, not everybody
for sure
can turn that switch necessarily. But I think it's something that when you're a young football player and you do find out you have that switch, great fucking feeling. Great fucking feeling. And you got the Lights Out nickname. I've heard the story. Walk me through it. Walk me through it.
It's so funny, man, because, the game is different.
Right
now, right? It's just different. And I think the times that, like, we played or I played, it's you got to applaud it for that shit.
Right.
You know, like, hey, you got a body. You get stars in your helmets. You get you know, you get shit on your helmet. It's like you get out there and you got applauded for it. And I think that now it's a little bit frowned upon. But at that time, you got to understand too, man, like where I grew up and where I came from, it was a scapegoat for me to do that to other people on the field. It was like, oh, this shit's legal.
Yeah.
Right. And
we're between the lines. Let's go.
Yeah. It's like we're between the lines, between the whistles. I can do anything I want to. Oh shit, great. That is amazing.
Right.
And,
right.
I actually started playing basketball first, and I was just a physical basketball player. My coaches really brought me over to football. And that's when I really was like, oh shit, this is where it's at. Now I still play basketball. I was ranked coming out of PG County, Prince George County, Maryland, and all that stuff. But I did it, and I like basketball. I didn't love it, you know, because I love football and I love the physicality of it. I love what I can do to another human being and then not get in trouble for this. Like this shit is amazing. But yeah, you know, I got the nickname by knocking 4 kids out in the game.
Actual unconscious?
Yeah, well, a couple of them unconscious. Like, you can see, the thing is, you can walk to the sideline and not know you walked to the sideline.
I've been there.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, you know, guys wasn't like passed out, sleep on the ground.
Right. Stretchers.
But it wasn't stretchers like they got to go to the hospital, right? I mean, I have sent people to the hospital for sure. But in that case where guys like didn't know where the hell they were at.
Right.
You know, by the time they woke up from it, it's like when they gain conscious again, it's already 2 quarters now, right? 2 quarters gone by. Or a guy, you know, lead on the lead block come and try to block me, and I break his collarbone, and he leaves the game, right? Got knocked out plus a broken collarbone. So it's one of those things, man, that all started out as like kind of a myth. Like people are like, no way this dude is like, come on. Like, that shit sound crazy. Yeah, right. He's knocking people out at that size.
Right.
And, in fact, man, I was my sophomore year at Frederick Douglass High School. I was 170-pound linebacker off the line of scrimmage, and I was hitting people so hard at that time that I would actually get these stingers. My shoulders, and you know, when you lose the feeling.
You were getting.
I was out hitting my body.
Right.
And I got a chance to meet LeVar Arrington, who then played for the Redskins when he got drafted from Penn State, and I became really close friends with him. And I played basketball with his younger brother Eric. And I was telling LeVar one off season after my sophomore year, I said, man, I keep getting these stingers, my neck and my shoulders, losing fingers, feeling my fingers. I didn't know what it was really then or why. And so he said, look, work on your neck and your shoulders the whole off season.
Get them stronger.
And it'll go away. So the following season, I gained, I think, almost 30 pounds. I came back 205. Now,
feeling good for that junior campaign.
Now I'm kind of yoked up a little bit now, and I'm, you know, kind of coming in my body, but I'm still running the same as I was a smaller kid.
Yeah.
So now you got the combination of somebody who's running as fast into you now with size and strength, and I found the weight room. Never had more stingers again. And it went away.
Were our offers starting to come in at this point then?
Yeah, my sophomore year, I went to University of Maryland's. They had a camp where they had all the best kids coming in from D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
Right, area.
And probably it was hundreds of kids out there. So I came in my sophomore year, and they had me working with the sophomores.
Okay.
And so now I'm just out hitting everybody. I'm just and then the next day, it's a 3-day camp. The next day they moved me up with the juniors. And then I'm starting out hit people there. Then finally, in the last day of camp, they moved me up there with the seniors. Mind you, I'm still a sophomore.
Right.
We just finished up my sophomore year, and I think I was 16 years old. And so I'm walking off the field, and actually Mike Loxley, who's the head coach now, was the running back coach then. And it was Coach Vanderlyn. Coach Vandy was the head coach. And as we're walking off the field, all the coaches came following me and circled me up as we're walking, and said, we'll come see you soon. We want to offer you a scholarship. So I was actually offered my first scholarship as a sophomore in high school.
Wow.
So that's how that happened.
And then you ended up going to Maryland.
Yeah, I ended up going to Maryland.
Was that part of the deal with it?
No, it was, I was still getting recruited by Miami, and I had letters from Alabama and USC and Florida State. It was still coming in. Actually, they would start coming to my basketball games to watch me play basketball when I was at Frederick Douglass. trying to get me to decommit and then come there. Miami was on me really tough. Miami was probably the one, if I didn't go to Maryland, I would have ended up at Miami. Yeah. And those teams they had down there those years was ridiculous.
Fuck, that's prime Miami.
It was insane.
Well, shit, they're back right now, damn near.
They're back, yeah.
Your pedigree of being a linebacker. Who'd you model?
Well, I was fortunate to come across in person and meet LeVar Arrington.
Okay.
And LeVar at the time was a freak. I mean, he was just a freak athlete. He played running back in high school. It was like all state at running back, all everything coming out of Pennsylvania. And so I started to learn a lot from him. But as far as watching somebody who I'd never got a chance to meet yet was Lawrence Taylor. Mm. And I started watching Lawrence Taylor initially when I was a kid because of the fear that he put in people and other grown men.
Yeah.
And so I said, I was looking, even as a kid, I was like, I noticed how people were just shying away from him and they were, they didn't want to see him. I mean, so I said, these are other grown men with families on the field.
They I was like, the smoke.
I couldn't understand. He's just another man. But the ability to put fear in other guys like that, I was like, man, that must be great. And then in 2000, it was after my sophomore year in high school, and where I grew up in Maryland.
Right.
My high school coaches, they said, hey, do you want to see a linebacker play? And I was like, yeah, of
Maryland.
Course. So in 2000, they took me to see the Ravens game, a Ravens game. So my high school coaches, none of us had a whole bunch of money and all that stuff. So they all gathered some money and we all went to a Ravens game. And bro, when I tell you, we sat so high up in the stands, like I could have turned around and changed the light bulbs up there. Like we were way up there.
Way up for them.
We were like shit. We were like 3 seats from the top, from the very top,
looking like ants on the field.
Well, yeah, and so this is their year. I think they won the Super Bowl, right? In 2000.
Is prime Ray Lewis.
Dude, so at the time, I'm into football, but I'm not watching teams like that.
Right.
We're sitting up in the top, and everybody, Peter Ballware and all these guys, Saragusa, and all these guys got introduced out the tunnel.
Run out, yeah.
Out the tunnel. And everything just got quiet. And then people got loud. And then smoke came up and fire, like all this shit. It was like it was like a concert to me.
Wow.
And so Ray Lewis is being introduced last. And I'm sitting up there and I'm watching him. And I used to joke around about people like normal people passing out at concerts. Mm-hmm. You watch like Prince concerts, Michael Jackson concerts. When I was a kid,
they're in awe and shit.
They were like sweating, passing out, and all that shit. So I was like, man, you guys are fucking ridiculous, man.
Right. It's another human guy.
What are you doing? It's ridiculous. And Ray came out, and Nelly, he's come out to Nelly's hot in here, right?
Okay.
So everything got quiet for like 10 seconds. And then it walked out, and then the beat dropped for Nelly. And then Ray came out and grabbed the grass and threw it up in the smoke and the fireworks. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I was going to pass out because I'd never seen –
Got you fired up.
It got me fired up. I'd never seen somebody, a football player, be able to do that to a crowd where they made people feel that way. And I'm sitting there and I watched the whole game. And, they're out there. It's best defense probably, outside of the 85 Bears. They got to be up there, top 3, top 4 defense all time. They were stacked. We're walking out the stadium, and I tell my coaches, I said, hey, I want to do that one day.
Fuck yeah.
I want to do that. And so that's when I made up my mind, and I made a decision that I was going to do everything I could to play in the NFL.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of Ray, who's your top 5 linebackers all time?
Inside or outside?
Let's go inside.
Ray, inside for sure. Dick Buckus is up there.
Out of respect, of course.
Who else we got? Derek Brooks. This is tough because it's crazy. But I'm such a fan. I can't put London Fletcher or anything like that up there, but some of those guys deserve more credit. And you got the steel curtain that was there.
Right.
I'll put Mike Singletary at 4 maybe. Mm-hmm. Because Ken Norton. You can really, God, I don't know if I have a fifth, man, because it's like 3 or 4 of them. I got tied as the fifth.
Right.
You know. You got to think about putting Patrick Willis up there.
I was gonna say if P-Dub's in there.
Yeah, I think you put Patrick Willis at that 5th spot.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's hard because now you got to make a case for Luke Kuechly.
Slept on.
You get what I'm saying?
Slept on.
And so that's why that 5th spot is really hard for me, because I always had a old school mentality when it came to the game. I mean, there's no, Ray's undisputed to me, number one. And you got, look, Junior Seau, is he, maybe you put him in front of Mike Singletary. So it's really hard when you go. I think Ray at 1, and you can't go wrong if you switch anyone on top.
Right.
The rest of the 4. Yeah.
Who's your favorite linebackers right now in the game? Inside, outside.
I love inside Fred Warner.
You fucking dog.
I love watching Fred Warner. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Roquan Smith.
Also.
Yeah, man. You can go all day with some of these guys. But yeah, those two inside wise, yeah, for sure.
So when you finished up at Maryland, you knew you were going into the draft. What were the expectations? What was your kind of vibe? I know you're a first rounder.
Yeah.
Walk me through that process.
Well, you got to understand too. I only started 1 full-time year at Maryland.
Wow.
One full year, my junior year. I was splitting time my first 2 years. They had me playing a position like it's called Leo, left and outside. I was in a 2-point stance over tight end where I wasn't even really pass rushing that way.
Right.
But I was coming off the bench, top 3 in ACC in sacks. Off the bench. And there's a lot of reasons for that too. I think one, they were trying to keep my ass there. They knew I was leaving. But I think the other part was, at that position, it just wasn't for me. If I could just pin my ears back and go, I would have probably broke every college record there was, sack-wise. But when I got drafted, you got to think that I was the highest drafted player at the time coming out of University of Maryland ever. And then the following year, Vernon Davis was. But, it was I was kind of the black sheep, right. I talked a lot of shit. I wanted to fight, I was
that guy.
I was him.
Yeah.
Right? And I just, I was just nasty, and when people are not accustomed to seeing that, then you frown upon it a little bit. But I think also too, I was young, and the way I grew up, that was the only way I knew.
Right.
So I think there was a disconnect in really the coach with Friedgen, which we got very close, on my way out, but just didn't understand like the shit I've been through in my life. It was like, yeah, I'm coming out to fuck people up because this is the only way I knew how to express myself on the field.
Right.
And it was a lot. Now that I'm older, I look back on it now. I was like, man, yeah, I was dealing with a lot growing up, and that was the only way I can dish out some punishment.
Yeah.
So I kind of had this dog to come out all the time because I was in constant survival mode.
Right.
You get what I mean? And
Absolutely.
that was really my only way of getting it out on the field.
Did the Lights Out nickname travel automatically, or because obviously you still got it, and it happened in high school, right?
Yeah.
And then in college, was it natural? And then in the league,
it was one of these things where it was such a folktale, right? And don't get me wrong, like I came in, I had chains and shit on, earrings, talking shit to I was all of it. So I had, that persona with me too, and I think a lot of people just really didn't understand that was the way I had to live in order to survive,
right? To
get to where I was at, and that I really kept that, that part of me stayed. And so when it came to that, I was very misunderstood when it came to that. But a lot of the older guys, I played with some dogs. I played with E.J. Henderson, Dominique Foxworth, Randy Starks, who played down in Miami for some time, D-tackle, and Vernon Davis was on that team, and we had DeQuell Jackson was that linebacker that played in Cleveland and the Colts.
Right.
So we were stacked. I think 8 or 9 of our guys on defense, starting defense, all played in the NFL. It was crazy. Wow. Great squad, man. And so a lot of them didn't want to call me Lights Out or that in general. So I had to go out and earn that shit. So how do you earn it?
Make a fucking play.
Make fucking plays, right? And so. And you know what? I didn't appreciate it then as much as I appreciate it now, because when you constantly got to go out there and earn it, none of this shit is given to you.
Right.
So you kind of appreciate it later on during life. It's like that, that teacher you have in high school and shit. Like, why the fuck they always on my ass,
Right.
you know? And then when you get older, you're like, oh, I appreciate that because, you know, we had some older guys in that locker room that wasn't going to let me walk in like that, and I had to earn that shit.
Right.
So,
you can't let you think a freshman's shit don't stink or anything.
Right,
And then
right.
you get complacent with it and all that.
well, I'll tell you, and trust me, I didn't help myself, right? You know, we had the freshman orientations where all the freshmen that came in, and we're in a team meeting room.
Yeah.
And all it, and this is crazy shit. So, but this is where my mind was then. Probably why I didn't start to my junior year because I came in full. You know, I came in 1-1. We had a freshman orientation in the team meeting room, and all the freshmen had to stand up and where you from, who are you, all the intro shit. And everybody went up to Quell Jackson and all these. You know, we had a running back out of this world from Florida, Josh Allen, who was all ACC and all this shit, right? And so it got to me. And so I basically said, Shawne Merriman from Prince George's County, freshman, told my age, you know, I'm starting playing here 3 years. I'm going to the NFL, first round. Yeah. Just like that.
Mic drop.
And that was it. And so you can hear the air out the room like, who the fuck this motherfucker think, you know. And fucking freshman. Who do you think he is, right? But that was, I know at the time it probably came across pretty arrogant.
Sure.
But I've always felt like that about myself.
Right.
You know, not because I thought I was just better than anybody. It's just I was willing to outwork everybody. Right. And my mentality was to be the best at what I did. And so I think that didn't go over well, especially when juniors and seniors. And you got E.J. Henderson there with fucking buckets. Right. Looking at me like, who the fuck is this? Who does he think he is? You know. And so at the time, I think that a lot of people didn't understand my mentality. Mm-hmm. Crazy enough, you know, we still talk, you know, from college, pros, like all my teammates for the most part, we all still talk, group chats and shit. Yeah. I think that everybody see it more so now than they did then on why I had the mentality I had.
And then, obviously, you end up getting drafted to the Chargers.
Yeah.
First round. And
what did I say? I was going my first year?
Hey.
So I was going first round.
Called that shit.
Yeah.
And I got buddies who did something similar, not to your extent necessarily. They didn't go first round, but like they came in and were like, "Hey man, this is what I'm gonna do. This is where I'm going. I'm gonna get drafted. I'm gonna play in the NFL for 7 years, 10 years, whatever the fuck it is." And they called their shot. I don't really look at it. You know, at the time, you do look at it as a little arrogant. Yeah. But as you know, like when you're competing at such a high level, you gotta kind of have that shit to you. Yeah. You gotta have that like. I love the honey badger, okay? You got to have that. I don't really care what's in front of me or what challenge is ahead or who the fuck's in this room. Yeah. It doesn't matter, right? I'm going to beat you. You have to have that elite mindset almost. But going into the Chargers, being a first-round draft pick, what are the expectations high for you going in? What was the stat? You know, did you have a welcome to the league moment, or like how'd that all go starting up?
It didn't go well because I didn't show up till a couple weeks before the first game. Oh, because we had some contract issue stuff. It was an injury clause. You know, back then the contracts was different than it is now. Right. And so I'm back home in Maryland. I'm on the phone with my agent screaming at him.
And there's minicamp.
There's OTAs and shit, and like I didn't show up to anything.
Your first round draft pick.
I'm first round draft pick, and on top of that, I'm looking at, you know, in the media, I'm seeing like my soon to be teammates talking shit. Some of them, not all, just a couple. Heat. Yeah, because you know you're a rookie coming in, first round, right, and you're not showing up to anything. And how it's being portrayed is I didn't want to be there, and that was just so far from the truth, right? Right. And I wanted to be there. Just my agent was like, listen, they're not willing to do this sign this injury clause that if something happened to you, that they're going to still pay you. Don't go. Right. And I got to the point where I'm getting into shouting matches with my agent at the time. I'm like, dude, look at this shit. They're thinking I don't want to be there. Right. Well, I think I'm better than everybody else. It's like, no, man, I got to get my ass out there. And at the point, I mean, if we waited one more week,
you were going to say, fuck it, let's go.
I would say fuck it and win anyway, right, regardless of what my agent thought. And, you know, thank God I listened to him, right, because it was just an order of protection for me.
Well, it's a business.
It's a business. But, I just turned 21.
You want to play ball.
So you want to get out there. You don't give a shit, you know, about the business side of it. You just want to go out and play. Right. So I finally get out there, and, dude, let me tell you something. The only running that I did was to the mall before the stores closed. That's about it. I was lifting weights like shit, but I was so out of football shape.
Well, it's hard.
Because it wasn't I was still going to the gym, but you can't emulate football.
No, you can't. It's not the same.
Yeah, so you can go out there. I ran my sprints. I did all kind of shit, but I wasn't doing enough football work.
Right.
So it was lesson learned by me for sure. But I got out there, man. I was pretty pissed off. Where I was like, somebody head gonna fly, teammate or not, because I was kind of sitting back for all this whole time, and I'm watching people just talk shit.
A little
like,
pent up testosterone.
Oh God, to the fullest, yeah.
And then what? How'd you release it?
I released on Lorenzo Neal, dude. Actually, the first.
Is this the brother-in-law rule?
That's the brother-in-law rule.
Okay, because I have two things he told me to ask you. One was the brother-in-law rule.
Yeah. My first padded practice when I got there, and it's fan day. It's 3,000 to 4,000 people out there at practice.
Little crowd.
Yeah.
First time in front of the NFL.
First time, and I got out there. It's the first time any of the fans, my teammates, anybody seeing me.
Right.
And I get out there. I'm 275 or 273, and I played around 263, 264, but I was definitely like 10 pounds overweight. Mm-hmm. All fucking muscle, not a shred of fat on me nowhere, but I couldn't move worth a damn. I was like a robot. But anyway, I was really pissed off. So I said, look, if the first time I hit anybody, everybody that talks shit gonna see quick. And I was so pissed off because I actually wanted to be out there.
Right.
But it was just a business side of it where I couldn't. And so one-on-one drills with Neal. But and I didn't know, being a young dumbass rookie, hot-headed, going out there, that I wanted to hit anybody that was in front of me. I didn't give a shit
who it was.
And it just happened to be.
And Lowe is late in his career at this point, right?
Yeah, Lowe, I think it's his 11th or 12th year.
Okay.
11th, 12th year.
Who's vetted?
It's Lorenzo Neal. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
Fucking Lorenzo Neal.
Right.
And so at that time I didn't care who it was. And I ran right through Neal on the first play, and it was bad.
And this is one-on-ones.
This one-on-one
Is he
drills.
expecting the same tempo?
No, because the drill actually is for me to make a pass rush move and go around. There's a pass pro block.
And you said I'm gonna run.
I don't give a shit, man. I fucking boom, blew him up, and stepped over. It was bad. Crowd, ooh, it was probably one of the worst decisions I made. It was definitely one of the worst ones because I went back up. A couple rounds after,
right.
And it was another running back up there at the time, but it wasn't Neal. And Neal came to the front and moved him out the way.
It was like, hey, we're running this shit back.
We're running this shit back. And I was like, you want some more of this shit? Like,
let's go.
Big mistake, bro.
What happened?
Big mistake. You see that wall back there? That shit felt like I ran right into that.
No
full
shit.
Speed. And I tell people now, I said, I'm normally always on the giving end to all this shit.
Right.
And it was the first time where somebody actually did something to me where I was like, holy shit.
Felt that way.
Holy shit. And then after that, it was like, okay, all right, we got to figure this thing out going forward.
We can't be doing
we
this.
Can't do this shit. We can't do this shit.
Car accidents.
Somebody not making it to the game. Period. And that's when the whole brother-in-law thing kept. What did Logan? Because
he just said I texted him when I got off the plane. I was like, what should I ask Shawne? He was like, I'll get into the next one, but he brought up the brother-in-law thing, and I've heard the story a little bit here and again, but basically listen, I've also been there where it's like, hey, you're gonna do your job on film because everything's the eye in the sky.
Yep.
Right. So you're gonna feel your gap. I'm gonna do my job, so no one's getting bitched at for either loafing or anything like that. We know that in a real game situation,
oh yeah,
it's collision. It's boomstick city. But for the time being, you fit me up, I fit you up. We'll stop, a little bit before ahead of time, and I get it, man. And I mean, two specimens like yourself, like you have to. You guys would have fucking just
and you know what? Not a damn coach said nothing about it either. Not a damn coach.
That's vets.
We'll go full speed and let up probably about 1 feet apart, and just I'm supposed to be here. You supposed okay, good. Tap each other on the head.
We're good.
We go back to the huddle.
Yeah.
Because at that pace, with both the mentality that we had, somebody just wasn't gonna make it to the game healthy.
Right.
And but yeah, that was it, man. So I'll tell anybody now, and you got to think, Lowe's in his 11th, 12th year.
Fuck yeah.
So for him to still do that shit, what did he feel like 6 years before that?
Well, I was gonna say,
it's you think about it. And I actually really appreciate Lowe because he took me to start working out with him. After practice, like we'll get our lift in, whatever mandatory lifts are, And mind you, Lowe's in his 11th to 12th year. We'll go to the weight room after, and we'll go do some bodybuilding shit, right? We call it walking a rack. We start at the 120-pound for shoulder shrugs all the way down to like 60s. So our shit is on fire. Or shoulder presses started at 80s, go all the way down to 40s, like smoke it up, right? But I learned how to, in a sense, take care of my body, work out and all that stuff. And Lowe was a big part of that.
That's awesome.
What was the second part of?
Rookie dinner. He said, "You gotta ask about the rookie dinner."
That was fucked up.
I've heard rookie dinner stories many times. This one was fucked up though.
Yeah, this was the most fucked up. Not him, but I think because I came in the way I came in, right? Big attitude, big persona, talking shit, whatever.
They were gonna let you feel
it. They were gonna get my eyes back, and they did. We went to a restaurant in Del Mar called Papa Moose Grill. And I think the rule was if you're 4 years or higher, you got to take all the vets out. But you got to be 4 years in. And so I don't know, 40 guys. I mean, I don't know what's the total count, but it was around there. So I took the team out. And mind you, I'm 21, dude. I don't fucking know about champagnes and wines and all this shit.
That shit can get expensive.
I have no idea. And we had a couple bottles, Lorenzo Neal, Jamal Williams, our D tackle at the time, Antonio Gates. We're sitting around. And we ordered these couple bottles that I now know as Louis XIII. So I don't know about this shit. I'm thinking like, I've been in a club a couple times, and I've been in clubs, but pay for.
This ain't Henny though.
Pay for bottles. You get a bottle of tequila and shit. It's $1,000. Right. And that's at the club, which is a lot.
Oh, fuck! They tax you.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, okay, one of these bottles in the restaurant got to be about $500, right?
Something like that.
Something crazy, like $500 is a lot.
Of course.
So we had 3 of these things, right?
Three
Louis. 3
bottles of Louis.
3 bottles of Louis, right?
At a restaurant.
At a restaurant. Now, I don't know what they are now. They got to be over $7K now in a restaurant, maybe a $10,000. But at the time, I think they were like 4. Wow. At the time, and this was 20 years ago. So $4,000 20 years ago was probably about $10K now.
Of course.
So we're sitting there. I'm just having a good ass time, and Drew Brees ordered these bottles of wine. So, again, the only thing I'm used to buying is shit at Costco, grocery store, expensive bottle of wine.
The nice shit's $200.
$200, like whatever. These bottles ended up being $1,000. He got 2 of these shits in his hand, right? He got 2 of these bottles. One of them he took home.
I was going to say he probably took one.
One he took home. So, anyway, look, I think the most expensive thing I bought at that time, I bought a townhouse back in Maryland, and I bought a G-Wagon. Right, okay. So those were my 2 biggest purchases, something like that at the time. And I bought a house in San Diego.
Okay.
So these I know are going to be expensive.
It's fucking house in a car.
House in a car. But I'm not thinking this level of expenses to restaurants. So anyway, I'm kind of fucking drunk. I'm damn near drunk. We're sitting there having a good time, and now I'm starting to feel accepted finally, by the team and shit, and they're having fun. Antonio Gates is there, Lorenzo Neal, like.
These are the boys. We're having dinner.
What can get better than this shit, right? You got all your the big homies in there. So we closing up. One of the owner came and said, "Hey, Shawne, I need to see you in the back." I said, "For what?" Give me the check, man, so I can go on and get up out of here. We can leave, right?
You said that like he's a school principal, like. Hey, can you come to my office right now?
Right. So it's not registering at the time while he's asking me to come to the back. So I said, hey, man, just bring me the check. Go ahead and knock that out. Get out of here. And so he said, no, man, I need to see you in the back. Oh. I said, okay. Shit, I get up. And you drink enough, you don't feel it until you stand up and shit, right? So when I stood up, I was like, oh shit, I'm kind of lit a little bit. So we go back there by the kitchen, and I remember. Him handing me the check, and the shit unfolded like a grocery store receipt, and it dropped down
fucking
to like
Costco.
I'm 6. I'm almost 6'5". That shit was past my knees, right?
Wow.
And so I'm looking at it, and I go all the way down to the bottom of this damn thing, and I look on it, it's like $32,100 and something dollars change, whatever. And I'm looking at it, and mind you, I've been drinking a little bit, so I'm like, oh, it's not that bad. It's $3,000. It's not registering that I missed a damn decimal. I missed a comma, right? So I look at it again and said, no, look at it. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, 32,000, and my knees got fucking weak. I sat back on the wall, and I'm like, shit. So I'm now thinking about what to do, right? So the bill was
What do you mean what to do?
No. I mean, you can't dine and dash right fucking out of there.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the bill, and it's like little shit on there that I'm making a big deal about. I'm trying to get whatever I can taken off.
Hey, we didn't order this side of mashed
I
potatoes.
fucking got in an argument about asparagus with his ass. I was like, I don't even fucking eat asparagus, dude. Like, come on, take this shit off, right? So I ended up getting like $800 off the bill or some shit, but it was still like $32K around there.
Right.
So anyway, I had my black card at the time, and so typically when you have big charges, they call you.
Yeah. Hey, is this legit?
Hey, is this legit? So, dude, I never wish for my shit to decline so bad. I would sit there praying on it. I was praying.
You wanted it to decline. Like, hey, yo, boys, everyone's got to chip in.
Hey, I was trying to figure it out quick. I sobered up quick. I sobered up quick as hell, right? And so I'm looking on them like they're gonna call me in a minute, and I'm gonna tell them, hey, I need to review these charges, and I'll get back to y'all later or whatever. Try to figure something out. Get a couple guys throwing 4 or 5K. Try to eat up some of the bill. Bro, that shit went through. They never called me.
Bang. That's why I used the black card.
Yeah, but I should have used a damn.
Fucking Visa,
I should have used something that had a limit on that shit, right? So I was pissed. I was like, I would be traveling somewhere out the country, or I'll be in a different state. Sometime I'm back in Maryland, sometime I'm in Miami, or I'm in LA, I'm in San Diego.
Right.
And if you travel too much, it'll decline you just because you're just traveling too much, and have you call in. So I'm guessing like they're for sure gonna call me. It's 32,000. They're going to call me.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers never called me.
You paid that motherfucker.
They never called me. And so when it went through and they brought me the check and the pen to sign, I almost passed out.
Sick.
I was sick to my stomach,
Did
bro.
you keep the receipt?
Hell no. Hell no. I want to see that shit ever again in my life. But I tell you what did happen. LT kind of stood up and made a speech that, of how much they were going to need me that year and all this stuff. So it did ease the pain a little bit.
Yeah.
But not as much.
Not 32 grand.
Not 32,000 worth.
Maybe
I was
maybe like $4 grand.
Bro, I don't think I had a full conversation with nobody on the team for a week.
You were pissed.
Oh, I was sick. I was sick.
You weren't even pissed. You were just sad internally.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, dude. I'll tell you what. If you want a good Neal story,
I would love one.
Dude, we got 1,000 of them. One of the rookie dinners, I think it was a year after, 2 years after, we were eating downtown. Mm-hmm. And me and Neal was like, that's my brother, man. So we would go at each other all the time. But this time we were going after to see who can drink how much. Mm-hmm. And so we had a bottle of, I don't know, it was a bottle of something, tequila or vodka, it was something. But me and Neal was like going shot for shot. Till the bottle was gone, the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
Man, shit, and I mean, this is why the brother-in-law exists, because somebody wasn't gonna make it to the game, and we wasn't gonna stop drinking. So, this is a massive bottle of tequila, vodka, whatever it was. It was a handle, and so we go back and forth. We got to be about 15 shots apiece.
No one's giving in.
Nobody. And so, about the 6th or 7th shot, you start getting a little warm. You're like, all right.
For sure get a little warm.
By that 10th shot, your tongue started to get a little heavy, right?
Then it should start stinking.
So I'm looking at him. I'm like, man, he got to stop at some point. He got to. Bro, we like 15 or 16 or 17 shots deep apiece.
These are real shots.
These are fucking full shots. And then we started to play around and wrestle. At that point, right? And I still to this day, I don't know if I stopped. I think he stopped first. But somebody, we had to stop that shit, right? We stopped. And I remember calling, because I couldn't drive home. I had one of my boys to take me to a hotel downtown. I said, no, nobody's getting behind the wheel.
No.
Nobody.
No.
Which nobody's driving.
We know better here. Yeah.
And I remember calling him the next day. And I think you gotta. If I remember the story correctly, I think Neal slept outside his house on the lawn. I think Neal slept outside of his house on the lawn, bro. And when I stayed downtown at the hotel, I went to the hotel. I took the TV off of the dresser. I don't remember any of this shit. I took the TV off of the dresser. I took the blankets off of the bed, and I slept on top of the dresser. I swear, it was bad.
That's just the boys getting after
It was
it
bad.
a little bit.
It was bad. It was bad. But see, that's why we had the brother-in-law, because we stopped. Nobody was going to stop.
No.
On the field, off the field, it wasn't going to stop.
I love that.
But no, if it was going to happen with anybody in this world, I was glad it happened with him. So.
Fuck, that's a great story with the boys.
You gotta ask Lo if I'm mistaken,
I'll
but
check in.
I'm 95% sure he slept outside.
I'm gonna text him as soon as
I'm 95% sure he slept outside on the lawn.
When you're talking names like LT and Lowe and stuff, like in your NFL career, who was the hardest dude to tackle?
Playing against?
Any.
Well,
because I know you were going against LT.
Well, yeah.
Well,
LT almost got my ass sent home one time my rookie year. We not him purposely, but it was me and something I did.
Right.
We used to have this. We used to have this drill where, you get $400 or $500, you make somebody fumble in practice. So Marty Schottenheimer had this thing like you swipe the ball, you get a few $100. And so, I think I made one or two people. I already got $1,000, right? I mean, I already made like $1,000 that day for swiping at the ball, and making somebody fumble. And so in practice, LT is going. And so I go and swat and tomahawk swatted the ball, and I take LT to the ground, fully to the ground, like blast out, like shit you ain't supposed to be doing. Not with L.
Right. It's not live. So you can't do this shit.
Hell no. But I swatted the ball hard enough where I took L to the ground. And when I tell you can hear a pin drop, I mean, you heard people. It was one of those, and I knew I fucked up. I knew I fucked up. I knew I messed up bad. And I came over, and I'm, kind of,
hey,
as a kid, you do some shit, and you're getting stared at, but nobody say nothing to you. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I did, but I know it was bad. I know it was bad. I get on the sidelines. Nobody still say anything to me about what I just did. So we get right after practice, the coaches brought me in a room, and they said, "Look, we love how you play. That's why we brought you here.
Right.
But don't ever hit LT again like that, ever." They basically like he's the reason. I mean, in a sense, why we got jobs.
That's fucking LT.
It's
don't
LT.
touch his ass.
And that was my like, okay, you in the NFL. This is a different ball game. Yeah. You're in the NFL now. You can't do this shit.
Right. This ain't Maryland scout team.
No, and you know what? To L's credit, LT never complained. LT didn't complain at all about it. Right. He didn't say anything. But the coaches, I mean, I thought that I was going to be the first round draft pick ever to get his ass sent home. I was like, I'm ready to pack my shit because it was dark in that room. When they circled me up, and it was like, this is LT. Watch it. But to L's credit, he never complained.
And again, I want to start kind of transitioning into a few things, with your lights out. As your career continued, I know you ended up going to Buffalo for a little bit.
Yeah.
At what point did you say, like, hey, it's time to hang it up? And did you know before you did, like, did you have a vision for lights out? Yeah.
We was I had a buddy of mine. And mind you, I've been called lights out since I was 16 years old.
Right, so it's natural.
It's natural. I mean, most people outside of my family, a couple childhood friends, called me Shawne. Everybody else called me Lights.
Okay. I'll start calling you Lights.
Yeah, most people call me.
I wish you would have told me.
Yeah, no. Most people, even now, most people still call me Lights. And I've gone by that name since I was 16. Mm-hmm. So I was with a buddy of mine in San Diego, and he was an attorney.
Okay.
And so we were at a bar. I think it was like between 2005 and 2006. When we were catching up, having some drinks. I haven't seen him for a while. His name was Greg Wiseman, and we had I was a couple back, just chilling or whatever. And I said, dude, I said, man, I want to own Lights Out. Like who owns Lights Out? I've been called Lights Out since I was 16 years old. I want to do this with it. I want to do that with it. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I had a bunch of ideas on what I wanted to do. Right. Mind you, I just turned 22. Mm-hmm. He puts his drink down, and he says, Shawne, do you know what I do for a living? I said, yeah, you're an attorney. But at that time, I don't know what type of attorney. Right. I don't know. He's just an attorney. He said, I'm a trademark, IP, and patent attorney.
So you got your guy right there.
So my boy is actually a trademark attorney.
Right.
And at the time, I didn't know fully what trademarks were. I didn't know it had a name to it because I'm still understanding what that is. So he explained to me what a trademark is. So I said, how can we get it? You know, I want to own it, and I got all these things I want to do with it. I don't know right now what I want to do with it. I want to do something with it at some point.
Right.
So he said, all right, give me a week or so. Let me track it down, see who owns it, and let me see if I can help you get it. So he finally locates the company that had it. It was a company in Irvine called PJ Salvage. It was a pajama company.
Oh.
But it was a company that owned them called Loomworks, the parent company, which was a big company.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And so I said, okay. So I said, what do we do? He said, they're probably going to want some money for it. You know, so I was
Do
like,
they know you're trying to buy it?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. And so he reaches out to him, and at first they told him no.
Mm-hmm.
They're not selling it. You know, they're selling pajamas in certain retail stores, and no. I said, he called me back a couple of days later. He says, is it okay that I tell them who's trying to buy it? I said, yeah, you know, if that'll help, yeah, sure. So he did, and then they were open to it, and they asked for a ridiculous amount of money.
I would imagine, yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm not spending that. I said, you know, counter what's, you know, the different offer. Let's see if we can get them to at least bite or play ball. And they did. And so we went back and forth for about a week and a half. And finally, they gave in and said, listen, we'll sell it to him, but we got to do this in 24 hours, and he got to send us the money in 24 hours.
That's kind of unorthodox, isn't it?
It was. I think that, well, there was a lot of nasty shit back and forth a little bit too. You know, it's always that side of the business. But we came to an agreement, and I ended up buying it within 2 weeks. All the trademarks for Lights Out, and you know, I've had Lights Out, the trademarks, here in the U.S. in 4 different countries for the last 24 years.
Wow. And then, so when you were done playing in Buffalo, you were like, okay, what are we going to do with this thing now?
So I always wanted to get in the apparel industry. And, you know, funny, in college, you know, I've always had this, you know, kind of entrepreneur spirit. It's always been there. Guys in college will tell you. So I don't know if you remember when 50 Cent came out with his first G-Unit tank tops.
Yeah.
Long time ago. And I took those blank G-Unit tank tops, and I started putting a light switch on it with a hand, with like bedazzled shit on it. It was ugly. It was ugly as hell.
You still got some of the OGs?
No, they're gone out there. I won't see that shit again. But you know, a couple of guys when I had in college, you know, a couple of them laughed at me, and you know, because I came in there, I always had my arms out or had shirt off, whatever. Right. And so I started to sell it to a couple teammates. And, you know, I started selling those tank tops with the lights out on it. And they just bought it out of support, you know, whatever. It was ugly as hell. But it started then. And I just didn't know what I wanted to do. But I look back on it when I got older, and especially now, I already knew what I wanted to do. I just didn't know quite how to do it just yet.
Right.
So anyway, that started then. But then now I had the trademarks and stuff for Lights Out. And I can go full on. So when I retired, I got straight into TV, went to NFL Network. You know, I was doing some broadcasting then, but then I started to do more in apparel space. So one of the first big stores that I got in, and when I say big, it was 9 Sports Fevers in San Diego.
Okay.
It was like sports memorabilia shops, but they sold T-shirts. So I actually started selling that towards the end of my career while I was still playing. But now I understood the apparel space where I knew where to get the manufacturing at, whether it was domestically or internationally. You know, what countries had what. And when I retired, I linked up and 2 of my mentors, Alden Harper and Stephen Jonah, who were big in the apparel space, selling Kohl's and JCPenney's and Walmart.
Big stores.
They used to own a brand called MMA Elite, one of the first big apparel MMA brands in the world.
Okay.
And these guys were doing massive numbers at Walmart. And so when I retired, I actually moved into their office downtown. And so Alden office was here, Stephen Jonah office was here, and my office was right there. So I got a full crash course of licensing, apparel space, what you should be paying, how to ship, 3PLs, back end, warehousing. Now I'm fully in it. So when I got off my shows with NFL Network, I would go to my office downtown. And I was just sitting there and hear these guys negotiate deals, what certain deals and licensing deals should look like. So I started picking up the apparel industry, and a couple of years after that, I got into Tilly's.
Oh.
So I was selling in Tilly's for a while. And this is the thing, too. This is how I got into Tilly's. A good friend of mine down in San Diego that used to own a Symbolic dealership, Mark Chase. There was a guy, and I think it was buying a Bugatti or something. It was a crazy, crazy car. And if the car was at least $500,000 to $1 million.
Big money.
And I remember just driving off. He's just driving off. I don't even think he signed for shit. And, I said, dude, who I want to know who the hell was that just bought a $500,000 $1 million car and just drove off the lot.
Right.
And he said, oh, that's the owner of Tilly's. So I got up from out of Mark's office. I ran him down.
In his new car.
In his new car before he pulled off the lot. And so anyway, we
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, because I told him what I was doing with the apparel space, and I thought the Tilly's Lights Out would be a good brand for Tilly's and all this other stuff. And so so anyway, we became really good friends.
Right.
And so anyway, I got into which is crazy because we got into Tilly's, and I didn't know about a lot of shit on the apparel space first. So his name was Hezzy. Mm-hmm. He's him and it's Hezzy and his wife Tilly who started Tilly's, and so we became really close friends. And so at the time I was working with Bellator MMA, doing some stuff with them and whatever, and he loved MMA. And I took him to a fight, him and his guest, and was just selling the shit out of Lights Out the whole time and how Lights Out would be good for them and stuff. So at the end of the fight, I thought that he was going to say, all right, you're in, right? He didn't say that. He said, look, I see where you're going, but you're not ready to be in our stores. And so this is where I learned that, people just not get discouraged the first time around with shit. Right. Because I easily could have been mad or pissed off because he said something to me that really stuck with me. He said, but when you're ready, you can have all the stores when you're ready. And so instead of taking that, that criticism as something negative, I went back, I got with Stephen Jonah and a couple of designers and stuff, and I started putting things together that was going to sell in Tilly's. Mm-hmm. And so we went back like 6 months later. And mind you, my hopes just dropped at that time because I'm thinking like, okay, we're going to these fights with Bellator.
It was lined up. It
was lined up that he was going to be excited about, getting Lights Out in the Tilly's. And it was a total opposite. He was like, hey, you're not ready. Just told me, and I appreciated that more than anything, just because that made me step up my game. Right. And that
was fuel.
It was fuel, 100% fuel. So went back to the designers. I got into some smaller retail stores, started learning how to deliver things and how to have stuff, how the back office work and, 3PL, warehousing, shipping. Right. I really, what warehouses did what and which manufacturers did what all over the country, all over the world. So I got really good at it. So I went back to him 6 months. I met with the buyer there, Mike at Tilly's, and they sat down and said, hey, you're back. I said, yeah, I'm back,
Surprise, motherfucker.
Surprise, I'm back. I'm back with some shit now. And so anyway, I got, 90 stores off the rip with Tilly's.
That's huge.
And, we did really well. And then, obviously the pandemic and all the stuff started to happen around the time, Amazon really picked up selling online and online really picked up full line. So the model changed, but I think I got into a little over 100 Tilly's. I was selling over 100 Tilly's before things changed.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucking awesome. And then at what point did you say, all right, we're going to start incorporating like a legit fight league into this whole thing?
That was, so when I was an ambassador for Bellator for a couple of years, and I've always been around mixed martial arts. Even when I was playing football, I was training with Randy Couture, and I was around, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz. These were all like friends of mine who I was around a lot. I was around when Tyron Woodley first started coming on the scene, training with him, and Jay Glazer kind of introduced me to really the sport But I've been going to UFC fights since 2005 with Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. 2005, I was there. When I first walked in, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I was. And so while I was working with Bellator, which is really the number 2 league behind the UFC for years, I mean, at one point, I mean, you can say that the Bellator has something that they could have been on the UFC level at one point.
Right.
They were great. But I was in all those meetings with them, production meetings, venue negotiating meetings.
You're
learning like shit for 2 years. And so anyway, being around it for so long and understanding how the business worked, I already knew TV and production, how TV worked, because I've been in the TV business since I've been retired.
Right. So you're piecing it all together now.
So now I'm piecing everything together. And I got really good at it. And so not only did I know the fighters now, I knew the managers, I knew the coaches, I knew the gyms, right. I knew production, I knew TV, I knew exactly who I wanted to hire and bring in. I knew everything already ready to go. And so when I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, the shit, we wasn't operating like a startup promotion because I've been doing it for so long.
Right. It wasn't like, here's fight one, let's see how it goes. Like, you knew how the fuck this shit was supposed to happen.
Yeah. And two, it was, I've always been a advocate for people learning from other people's mistakes.
Of course.
As
you should.
When you're smart, you can, if you see something not working for somebody else and they tell you like, hey, this didn't work for me, you don't do that shit.
Of course.
I thought the Bellator could have been a lot bigger than it was, and they had great fights, they had a lot of great things, but they had some holes that I thought that, like, what, when I do mine, we're doing this immediately.
Right, we're gonna patch that up.
We're gonna patch that up because Bellator could have been a massive, massive organization, and maybe not bigger than the UFC, but it could have been up there on that level.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kudos to you though too for understanding that and then putting it into fruition, because it's hard. I mean, like any business, right? You don't want to have to, one, not only make a mistake, but for people who don't own businesses, make a mistake basically means, did we lose a fuckload of money on it or
not?
Right. You don't want to get in that hole if you don't have to.
Yeah, and that was the main thing. I thought that they could have done a lot more on the tech side. I thought they could have done a lot more on the content side. They were owned by Viacom, and I thought that there was a lot of holes there that they could have been a lot bigger than what they were.
Right.
And I knew when I started out that I was going to immediately start attacking those areas that they were lacking, and or just not even lacking, that they just didn't make of importance.
Right.
And so that's what happened, man. We, been kind of running the show with Lights Out Extreme Fighting for the past, going on 3+ years.
Right.
They've been running that on my own, and the way we've grown over the last really year and a half is unprecedented for somebody that, the opportunities we have right now in this space for somebody that's been around as short-lived as we've been, right, is never been done in this sport. And so, there's some other really good promotions out there too that's been around longer than us. I just have a different angle in this business.
I love it. I mean, again, this is saying from a spectator who watches UFC, interviews fighters. I think it's something for sure that is already, like you said, in short time, like, it's making fucking noise.
Yeah,
it's making noise. Do you have, you're in Vegas.
Yeah.
UFC's in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you compare yourself to, I want to be the next UFC, similar to how, like, I don't know why my head's going to golf right now with the LIV and the PGA, or are you more like, hey, I'm trying to be the feeder into the UFC?
Well, we don't. I think, look, I think it'll be pretty dumb to go out there and try to compare yourself to UFC. They're so far, but because I understand how the business works, I think a lot of people get in there because of pride and ego.
Sure.
Of wanting to compete with them. There's other promotions that call themselves the co-leaders of it.
Okay.
Which is not smart, because there's ways to be big without trying to be them.
Right.
There's so many ways to be successful, so many different verticals that you can do and not be the UFC. In fact, I think the fans are looking for something else, because the UFC is always going to be, the UFC is the NFL of combat sports.
Absolutely.
And then you have to ask yourself, is there going to be anybody bigger than the NFL ever?
Probably not.
No. And that's not saying that, like, oh, you can't do it, because I hate when people say you can't do something, but you're going to spend a lifetime trying to do it, and you won't have the resources, and you won't have – the UFC, they're so well organized. They're like a well-oiled machine that's never going to stop.
Right.
The UFC is never going to stop growing. The UFC is never going to plateau, because there's going to be different verticals. There're going to be different streaming platforms. There're going to be different things that come around. Who the hell knew that Netflix would even be in the live sports business 10 years ago? Right. You would have never guessed that.
I mean, Netflix wasn't even around fucking 15 years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Blockbuster.
Right. And so, there's going to be a new social media platform that the UFC is going to take advantage of. Their partnership with Threads and Meta, they're never going to stop.
Right. But it took time. It's not like it happened overnight. Like, it's become more popular in the last 5 years, but you see shit with Dana White from 25 years ago.
Yeah, because, and then the reason why I give them more credit, because when they first started, there was no social media like that. You know how hard it is to build something where that's almost like, rappers and entertainment and artists selling cassettes out their fucking trunk.
Right.
They didn't have SoundCloud. No. They didn't have Apple.
Fucking YouTube, TikTok.
Shit. There's people that's coming overnight viral success. And so, when the UFC first started, and even up into the mid to late 2000s, there was nothing. There was just hardcore promotion, hardcore fights, and built it on organic arms.
Right.
And when social media came into play and all these other digital platforms, they went to the moon. Yeah. And that's what really helped them. And Dana is smart because Dana he's not old school thinking. Most people, when you get that successful, they stick to the old shit. But, Dana has figured it out. We have the Nelk boys, Theo Vaughn and all these guys busting the boys. My boys over there busting the boys. Dana figured it out. And he keeps pushing the envelope. And even, when I'm most impressed, because people ask me all the time, they know we got a, kind of relationship. And what I'm just most impressed with Dana the most that I learned is that motherfucker never stops working.
Right.
He never, he will.
That's all I hear.
It's insane. He would, I'll go see him in his office, and he may be over there in just hardcore pitch meetings still. And you would think that somebody's already achieved that level of success.
Right.
They're not rolling up their sleeves still. He is, and so that more. I don't ask him for anything. We talk, and when we do, it's most of the time not about MMA, maybe other business stuff, but not MMA.
Right.
But just the willingness to keep pushing the envelope after you get that level of success. I think that to me is the most impressive out of anything.
Well, you've done a really good job, too, leaning into that social media presence. And, we talked about, this interview today, we have shit go viral. We had noise, up and down California. We got viewers and followers all over the country. The compound effect, like we talked about earlier, it's something that you have really mastered. And I think on socials, not comparing you to a Bellator necessarily, but I don't see Bellator on socials, right? I see Lights Out on socials constantly, constantly and constantly and constantly. The UFC, like you said, they're going to have NFL commercials. They're going to have UFC promotions on your IG ads and whatnot. But you do, you kind of have this signature where you see a viral clip and you do the glasses, say sign them up, right? Yeah. First of all, great fucking marketing. It gets listen, we're talking about socials, right?
Yeah.
You want shareable moments. Mm-hmm. You want this shit pinging around all over people's phones. You want people taking a shit, and this is what they're looking at, right?
Yeah.
How often, when those viral moments happen, have you ever actually brought someone in to fight?
What's crazy about the sign 'em up videos? So when it started really getting out there that I was in the MMA space, I was running my own organization with Lights Out Extreme Fighting. I would start to have fighters in my DMs, trying wanting to come fight for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, and I'll say, hey, if I didn't know him, I'll send him over to our matchmaker to have them check him out, look at his record,
right,
on Tapology, and just look at who they are. Sometimes I'll say, hey, what do you got? Who'd you fight for last?
Right.
And so I would have fighters that send me videos of whatever their last fight or whoever their last promotion they fought for, and some of these guys would be good, right, and really go. And then some of them, I've had guys that send me videos of them getting knocked out, and so I said, "Fuck, did you send this by mistake?" Or I said, "Which one are you?" He said, "Oh man, this fight didn't go that well for me." And I said, "Why would you send me a video of you getting knocked out?" I said, "I'm sure you got something else." I said, "Out of all the things you could have sent me, you sent me that?"
Right.
And that happened more than a few times. And so after the second or third time, I said, "Hold on, because it'd be guys that I would look at and say, you know what, I can sign them up, or I can't sign them up. And I said, no, there's something here with this shit. I was sitting around the house one day, and you know, I'm anything fighting, dude. There could be 2 roaches outside fighting. I'll sit there and look at that shit. Anything involving fighting, I'm looking at.
I've seen some fucking funny ones you do.
Yeah, no, they get ridiculous. You gotta have fun with it. So the first one I sent out, it was a regular fight one, because when the fighter sent me the video, and I'll tell you how the glasses and all this shit came about. I did have on my glasses, and sometimes when you're out in the sun, you got shades on it, you can't see the screen.
Right.
And so I saw it, and the fighter was getting knocked out. So I took my glasses off, and I was like, holy shit. You know, this guy got knocked out. Why would you send me this?
Right.
But I took my glasses off, and I'll put them back on, and then somebody else sent me, and I'll take my glasses off again and look at it because I couldn't see the screen in the sun. I said, hold on.
We got something.
I said, hold on. I got something for this. So the first one I did, probably like over a year, almost 2 years ago, maybe, or close to it. And the shit got 250,000 views, right?
Yeah, your shit boomed.
Yeah, it got big. And I said, holy shit, this is the most views I ever gotten on social media, I think, at the time. Maybe 500,000. It was big. It was maybe 500,000 views. So I was like, hold on, and then I did a couple more, signed them up, and I said, now I'm going to show somebody getting knocked out, and I'm going to say, don't sign them up because of these DMs I was getting from fighters. So I did a don't sign them up because the guy got knocked out, and the shit got like 1 million plus.
Right.
So I said, okay, here we go. You know, this thing got to happen.
Hell yeah.
And that became a thing. It was, you know, on the marketing aspects of it, but I think that everybody, and too, I don't talk about politics a lot on social media or religion and any of the serious shit. Not because it's not important to me. It's just that, you know, I think that those places for social media is a target for people to talk shit who can't back it up. Right. So
it's true.
It's you
easy
know,
to talk shit behind the screen.
Yeah, and I stay, at least on social media, I stay away from politics or anything serious because people can say whatever they want with no validity to it at all. So I just stay away from it. And plus, I wanted a place where everybody's talking so much about politics and so much hate, so much anger, so much this. I wanted something that somebody can come and look at and be like, damn, this kind of made me laugh. Yeah. You know, this was pretty damn funny. Yeah. You know, and so that is how the whole sign them up and don't sign them up thing happened.
I love it. I see everyone else, you know, you talk about like Jake Paul doing fights and all this shit. Mayweather coming out of retirement and whatnot. UFC's going to go do the lawn at the White House and whatnot. This is just off the dome here. Knowing you and being a physical specimen, and I see you still training, and Lowe being a wrestler, would you guys do a little charity one-on-one?
No.
Headgear?
I wouldn't. I couldn't find anybody that's a friend of mine. Yeah. Because I don't, charity or not, I'm not getting in there to get some money for charity. I'm in there to harm you. Right. You know.
Have you considered fighting in your own lights?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've sent out contracts to former WWE guys. I've sent out contracts to you know, probably in the last 2 years, maybe about 5 or 6 contracts. Again, nobody responds or what, you know what I mean? Like it's for me. To be quite honest, I love promoting these other guys.
Right.
I have.
You like your role.
I have more. I'll call it fun. I get a better thrill out of seeing these other guys because I have a bigger platform than most people that's fighting for Lights Out Extreme Fighting. Right. So when I see these guys come in, men and women, and they fight for us, and they have a couple fights, they blow up, they go off to the UFC, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a part of that.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, shit, just in the last 2 months, I've had John Paul that fought, I think, on Dana White Contender Series. Okay. Chris Alvidrez just won for in the Dana White's Contender Series. Santiago Luna fought in the UFC, got caught up. He just won. These all guys that fought for Lights Out Extreme Fighting, and I enjoy that part of it because the real work behind all this shit is behind the scenes. It's not getting in front of the camera and you know, like, you know, promoting the shit. And I'll promote on radio stations, TV, podcasts, whatever I got to do. But I'm not getting in the fucking middle of the fight and being the guy. No. Right? It's not serving those guys well.
Right.
Now, if I do all the work behind the scenes work out more distribution deals, get more sponsors, do more things, we can pay them some more money, or get more eyeballs on what we're doing, then I'm benefiting everybody, including what we're trying to build. So I like that role, but I'm totally not against, a guy that's got a fighting background that people want to see. And then, a lot of people, you can talk shit about Jake Paul and talk about whatever, but he opened the doors for a lot of this stuff to happen. In fact, I was around him when he very first started with Jake Paul, and this is when Shane Mosley was training him. Okay. And Shane Mosley had called me one day, and they were training up at Big Bear. And I've been planning on going up there training with him for years, and I just never really made it up. And it was one week that I was pretty free, and Shane called me and he said, "Hey, I got this young kid, a YouTuber named Jake Paul," and I was like, "Oh, okay, he just fought another YouTuber or something like that, like some months before. It was not too long before that." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I see the kid." And then, my son loved him already because he's YouTube. My son, yeah, so. I think, I know who he is, whatever. He said, "I think this kid's gonna be good, man. You want to come up and just train for a couple of days, stay for a week or whatever." And I said, "Sure." So I drove up from LA to Big Bear. Mm-hmm. I stayed at Shane Mosley house for almost a week, and I saw Jake training for the first time, and I said, "Holy shit!"
Kid's legit.
I said, "Yeah." I said, "He's gonna be something." And they were up there running hills and stuff like that. And so, I've been around professional athletes my whole life.
Right.
So I can tell when somebody got it or they don't.
Right. And
not just of their skill, but what they're willing to do to work. Right. And this dude was digging. He was working. He was consistent. He was grinding it out. They had a boxing ring set up in Shane Mosley's garage where he was sparring other boxers, amateurs who had fights, some pros who had fights. And he was getting his ass kicked sometime. Yeah. Kept coming back.
Good.
And so I knew right then and there that Jake was going to – I didn't know how big he was going to be or how good, because you don't know how far somebody's willing to work to take it.
Right.
But the credit to him, regardless of what you feel about him personally or what he's doing personally, he's taken it to new heights, and he's opened up doors that wouldn't have been there if he didn't take that
he's fucking chance. Creating doors. I mean,
100%.
I respect the shit out of it.
100%.
My last thing for you. So, we keep talking about Lights Out. You talked about the origin, but you recently, you made a big move with your streaming now. You got a whole – you're a TV channel.
Yeah.
What was the decision to make trigger on that, and then where do you see the vision on it?
Because I've been at other networks, work with them on the broadcasting side in front of the camera. When we signed an exclusive deal with Fubo for like a 2-year deal. Okay. Just like from 22 to 24 or something like that, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. And I've always negotiated these TV even when we first started out with Fox Sports Western Prime Ticket, I negotiated that deal with Fox. Right. And this is when the UFC had just left to go to ESPN. Okay. And so they were looking for more MMA content because UFC had just left. So they gave us the opportunity to be on the regionals. So that was great. We turned out, I think the first fight that we had out the gate came close to tying the Anaheim Ducks in viewership. Wow. So they knew they had something right there on the spot. Then we moved around to Fox Sports Southwest, which is Texas, Florida, which is Fox Sports Sun, and other regions in the country. We did well, and the pandemic knocked everything out. And then Sinclair came and bought up all the Fox regions for the $9.4 billion deal and turned it into Bally's, right? Mm-hmm. So we ended up going to Fubo. So I was working with Fubo for almost 2 years, closely, where I was in their office a week out of the month for 2 years. I would fly to the office in New York. So I really started it's like the apparel industry. I'm around it enough. Right. I started learning how things work. And Fubo was great. I mean, we still work with them. But the main reason why I ended up launching Lights Out Sports TV, because I had a bunch of ideas that I wouldn't have got off the ground if I was with a network exclusively.
You got to do it yourself.
Yeah, you got to do it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a lot harder because, you're doing stuff on your own dime, at least starting out. And then you're the one putting it together. Right. But when you're at some of these bigger networks, they got so much shit they're looking at, bundle deals and partnerships and all things. And you may not be at the top of the totem pole. Right. Just not purposely. It's just they got bigger shit that they're doing. And so once I started to realize that, I had all these ideas, but I was not going to be able to launch it here, I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and launch my own network or Lights Out Sports TV.
Right.
So, it's a free ad-supported all-sports platform. And though we still work with football, we work with a bunch of other distribution partners. Telemundo, we just launched. UFC Fight Pass, we just launched.
Oh, nice.
And so we still work with everybody. But I knew that in order to do the things that I wanted to do, you have to launch it first and show that, hey, there's some value into what you're doing.
Right.
In order for somebody else to see this value, because these bigger networks, they got the shit they're looking at.
Yeah.
And they got so many moving parts, and you may not come to the top of mind all the time, just because. But if you do something, you build it, and there's some value behind it, then you got something. So yeah, I just use Lights Out Sports TV. We got a bunch of free live sports in there. It's not just our MMA. A bunch of free live sports. In fact, we just crossed over 100,000 downloads yesterday.
Congratulations. That's huge.
It's huge, and I haven't spent a dime in marketing.
Wow.
I haven't spent a dime in marketing Lights Out Sports TV, nothing. And so everything I wanted to take was a organic earned media approach,
right?
And it worked out. And we just launched a tech partnership with PTF Labs, and then we got AI virtual advertisement on the mat that's going to be used. We're hoping that this technology is licensed out to all combat sports.
Oh, so it's going to change?
Oh, yeah. So on the screen, it changes on the mat.
Wow.
On the screen. So we'll have our 4 sponsors that's there on the mat physically.
Right.
And those ones are normally paying the most money.
Yeah,
and they come in our partners. But there's a lot of incremental revenue that we have in between those that change every other fight on the mat.
That's fucking awesome.
And it's going to be groundbreaking because it's going to be much bigger than combat sports. I mean, we're talking to other major networks now about implementing this technology into maybe some of their smaller sports they can't sell sponsorship to. The next thing we got coming is our partnership with Shot Tracker, which is chips in the gloves that can measure your speed, power, punch, G-force, velocity, where you're getting hit, landed at. There's a lot of computer vision learning cameras at top. But also these chips in the gloves can track your movements and speed of punches and where they land. I mean, it's phenomenal.
You're going to watch fights completely differently.
This goes back to my freshman year when I came off a bit cocky, right, or arrogant. I try not to get involved with anything anymore that's not going to change the landscape of everything.
Ooh, that's a fucking bar.
And if it's not going to change the landscape of everything, it's just a complete waste of my time. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Fuck. Lights, I appreciate your time, man. I know we utilized our time here today. Hope to see you again soon. Thanks for having us out in Vegas.
No, thank y'all for coming. Appreciate it.
Get your piss hot. Follow Shawne. Follow Lights on everything, all social media, all the platforms. Be on the lookout for the next fights. We got to come out to a fucking fight.
Come on out. Y'all welcome anytime you want.
All right, we're hitting it. Appreciate you.
Thanks, y'all.